These 4 disturbing 911 calls are all murders committed by family members. A death row inmate's conviction comes back into the spotlight 26 years later. 2 separate cases of children let down by the system, and a teen kills his parents in his sleep. Let's get started. A frantic suburban mother called 911 in the early hours of June 6, 1996, screaming, "My babies are dead. Oh my God." The case seemed open and shut, but it's under scrutiny again 26 years later.
Ma'am? What? Who did? Hang on. Hang on, ma'am. Ma'am? I know medical emergency. Ma'am, I'm trying to get an ambulance to you. Hang on a minute. My babies are dying. What's going on, ma'am? Oh my God. I didn't even know you were 901. I know medical emergency. About 238. Attention 901 medical emergency. Hospital Camden, 5801. 238, Linda Victor, Look, coming out 236. Ma'am, I need you to talk to me. Ma'am, I can't understand you. You're going to have to slow down, calm down, and talk to me. What is going on? Somebody came in while I was sleeping. Me and my little boys were sleeping downstairs. Stop it, baby. Stop it. I woke up. I was fighting. We ran out to the garage. Realized him. My babies are dying. They're dead. Oh, my God. Down the phone with me. Oh, my God. Just set that on one. Hold on, honey. Hold on. Oh my God. Ma'am, is there with you? Ma'am. What? Is there anybody in the house besides you and your children? My husband, he just went downstairs. He's helping me, but he's dead. Oh my God. Okay. How many little boys? Is it 2 boys? 2 of them. Oh my God. Okay, listen to me. Calm down, ma'am. How old are your boys? What? How old are your boys? No. 7. Okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, shit. Calm down, can you? 7. Oh my God. Is your name Darlie? Yes. Is your husband's name Darren? Yes, please. Please, God. They left the knife laying on. There's a knife. Don't touch anything. I already touched it. Who's out there? Anybody out there? I don't know. Okay, ma'am, listen. There's a police officer at your front door. Is your front door unlocked? Yes, ma'am. Where's the ambulance? Okay. They're breathing. They don't get in here. They're dead. My God, they're dead. Hurry, please. Okay, you need to let the officers in the front door, okay? What? Ma'am? What? You need to let the police officers in the front door. His knife was laying over there, and I already picked it up. Okay, it's all right. It's okay. I got the punch, baby. Ma'am, hang on a second. Somebody walked in here and did it, and there's nothing. Okay, ma'am. There's nothing. Ma'am, is the police officer there? Okay, go talk to him, okay? Yes, that's okay. Go talk to him, baby.
According to Darlie Routier, just at 2:30 a.m., an intruder entered their Dallas, Texas home and attacked her 2 children, who were asleep in the family room. The mother of 3 woke up on the sofa with a knife to her throat held by a man she described as wearing dark jeans and a baseball cap. Then, a short scuffle broke out between her and the intruder before the unknown male fled the scene. When emergency personnel arrived, 6-year-old Devin was already dead. 5-year-old Damon was barely alive and died en route to the hospital. The children's father, Darren Routier, was upstairs asleep in the couple's bed with their 8-month-old baby, Drake. He woke up to the sound of breaking glass. What struck the detectives as odd was that before asking if his children and wife were okay, Darren walked into the family room and asked, "Have you seen Darlie? Isn't she beautiful? And doesn't she have gorgeous breasts?" At the time, he didn't know if she would live or not. Darlie was taken into surgery for her neck wound. The knife stopped 2 millimeters short of her carotid artery. She also had a stab wound on her arm. Paramedics had also noticed that her underwear was missing, but exam results showed she wasn't sexually assaulted. While investigators looked into the brutal double murder, the case took strange twists and turns, some that remained odd to date. Darren was an entrepreneur in the computer business, and Darlie was a stay-at-home mom. The couple was well off financially, and it seemed like they lived the perfect life, but that picture-perfect family image would crumble as time went on. Especially the father's lack of involvement in his children's lives and the hidden financial issues they faced. While casing the area for clues, a single bloody sock was found in a nearby alleyway. Immediately, investigators thought it was strange that the intruder would take a sock but leave the 13 rings and the gold lady's watch that were lying out in the home. Bloodhounds also couldn't trace anything further than the sock, so where did the assailant disappear to? Darlie had told the police that the mystery man had dropped the weapon, a kitchen knife belonging to the family, on the floor as he fled. With blood spatter as the most prominent evidence, this fact would come under major scrutiny. Numerous experts looked into this and were adamant that there were no indications of the weapon being dropped on the kitchen floor. In reality, the deep dive into the crime scene in the kitchen just cast more doubt on the mother's story. Darlie said she chased the intruder through there, where he knocked a wine glass, but the glass was on top of the blood spatter, and she had cuts on her feet. A wheel impression on the floor suggested that Darlie ran through there before the glass broke, and blood on the vacuum cleaner was Darlie's, as if she was leaning over it. If the woman was stabbed on the sofa, then ran through the kitchen, the blood spatter would have looked different from what it did. It was more likely that droplets were deposited by someone standing still or walking very slowly. When police interviewed her, Darlie was holding a towel to her neck wound, so they thought it might have been used to clean up the blood. Once investigators used luminol in the kitchen, they found a set of footprints by the sink, belonging to the mother. A new theory was born. She had bled standing above the sink for a significant amount of time without moving, perhaps while Darlie inflicted her own stab wounds. The luminol also brought up a distinct imprint of the murder weapon on the carpet, and the drip pattern showed the knife was in the hand of a person who was bleeding. The blood was not that of an unknown assailant, but the alleged victim's. Darlie had explicitly told the detectives that she had put the knife on the kitchen counter. There was no mention of it being on the family room floor. Prosecutors then put together their version of the events. Darlie had premeditated murdering her 2 boys. They claimed the mother of 3 had convinced the boys to sleep in the living room with her the night before. Around 2:30 a.m., she got up and used a bread knife to cut open the window that the alleged intruder would enter through. Fibers from that screen would later turn up on the knife, which was returned to its holder without being washed. From there, they believed that Darlie used the largest knife she had to murder her 2 children. The 26-year-old removed her underwear to suggest sexual assault. While standing at the kitchen sink staging her wounds, 5-year-old Damon was still alive and crawling through the family room, so Darlie stabbed him twice. Although it was a wild theory at the time, the evidence supported it. There was cast-off blood spatter on Darlie's shirt from the boys, indicating that the knife was repeatedly drawn over her shoulder. It would be strange for the intruder to break into the house, take a bread knife from the kitchen, exit again, return to cut the screen open, and then replace the knife. The only DNA on the bloody sock was that of the 2 children. Experts dug into the 911 call as well. When they isolated her voice from the background noise, another contradiction appeared. Darlie had moved rapidly from at least 3 rooms in the house and didn't stay anywhere for very long. This meant she could possibly have been removing some of the blood while on the call. Days after the incident, the family invited a local TV crew to a celebration for what would have been Devon's 7th birthday.
If you knew Devon and Damon, you would know that they're up in heaven And they're up there having the biggest birthday party that we could ever imagine. And they wouldn't want us to be down here being sad, even though our hearts are breaking. I know that Devin and Damon would want us to be happy.
With a mountain of evidence against her, Darlie Routier was arrested and charged for murdering her sons. No charges were filed against her husband, who denied any involvement. The mother was found guilty and sentenced to death, where she still sits on death row awaiting execution. But the story doesn't stop there. More than 20 years later, a not-for-profit organization investigating innocence is involved in trying to free Darlie. The appeal claims she was prosecuted based solely on controversial forensic evidence known as bloodstain pattern analysis. The hired expert, Tom Bevel, was also responsible for the wrongful conviction of David Cam. Darlie was also let down by her public defenders. Bloodstain scientists Terry Labor and Bart Epstein analyzed the bloodstain interpretation of Bevel and came to a different conclusion about these patterns. Her family hired a private attorney a month before the trial, who decided not to call the scientists and instead handle the evidence through cross-examination. Now, Darlie's lawyer, who met her in 1997, is fighting the outcome again. He says she didn't have a fair trial, and there are massive inconsistencies in the evidence against her. Firstly, how did the woman cut her neck with her left hand when she's right-handed? Secondly, the knives had already been brushed for evidence when the alleged fibers from the window were brought up. It could have been contaminated. And if it were used to cut the screen, there would be multiple fibers, not just one. Thirdly, a fingerprint was discovered at the crime scene that didn't match anyone in the home. And lastly, the saw couldn't have been planted by Darlie in the time between attacking the children, calling 911, cleaning the blood in the kitchen, and the responding officers arriving. While their marriage was clearly under strain, one side of the story seems to be forgotten. 2 years before the murder, Darlie told Darren she wanted a divorce, at which point he either held a pistol to his own head or to hers. On the night of the killings, the couple argued about Darlie having difficulty looking after the children. In fact, she had left the house several times after arguments like these. The mother allegedly said she wanted to separate and slept on the sofa this time. Darren denied it was an argument, even though Darlie had told police on the morning of the murders that the couple had fought about their finances the night before. Despite the entrepreneur appearing well off, they were 2 months behind on their mortgage payments and unable to make their minimum credit card payments of $12,000. An additional $10,000 was owed back in taxes. Darren had not paid rent for his office space that month and was turned down for a loan 2 days before. The loan was, however, for Darlie to vacation in Cancun with a friend. 4 years after his wife's sentencing, Darren Routier admitted he had asked Darlie's stepfather, Bob Key, whether he knew anyone who might break into the family's house as part of an insurance scam. Once the furniture and other items were stolen, Darren would retrieve them from the burglar and pay him out of the proceeds from his insurance claim. Although he initially denied it, once shown the affidavits, Darren confessed to the conversation. The damning confession was laughed off by prosecutors, alleging it was an attempt to bolster the appeal to release Darlie. But all these years later, one question remains unanswered. Why would the mother with no history of mental illness or psychotic hallucinations, no criminal record, and no abuse in her background kill her 2 boys? Do you think she did or didn't? And why? Let me know in the comments below. This haunting 999 call took place 11 minutes after the child's mother searched Google for how to bring babies out of shock.
Under the service, is the patient breathing?
Yeah, she's breathing.
Is she conscious?
Yeah. She's a bit of both, really. Basically, it's my partner's daughter. It's my little girl as well. I brought her up. We've got all 3 children here playing, and was in the kitchen making a coffee, and they've been in the living room, and I heard a bang. So I came out, and the little lad stood there, and the little girl's on the floor, and she was crying, and then she stopped crying, and then she was sick, and now she's just a little bit floppy, to be honest with you.
And do you know what the bang was?
No, I don't know I don't know if she's fallen off the sofa, or I don't know. Just there's three of them playing with us. And
Right.
he just said start, and when I walked in, she was laid on the floor. Shush, darling.
So you heard a bang, the patient was on the floor.
I've heard a bang, yeah. I came in, and the little lad was saying star, which is the little girl.
Yeah.
So I've obviously shouted to mummy to sit up, star. So I sat her up, and I started to rub her back because she was like breathing but like struggling.
Yeah.
So I was rubbing her back. She started to be sick, so I led her on the floor.
Yeah.
Put her in like CPR position, started to run her back. She started to lose breath, so I performed CPR on her.
So you've done CPR on her?
Yeah, I've done CPR. I've got her in the recovery position now.
28-year-old Savannah Brockhill made the call after violently attacking her girlfriend's 16-month-old baby, Star Hobson. In the 11 minutes before the call on September 22, 2020, she put together her cover story while desperately trying to revive Star and avoid the involvement of emergency services. Brockhill performed CPR, took the child to the window for air, and splashed water on the toddler's face. Meanwhile, before the call, the child's mother, 20-year-old Frankie Smith, searched Google for how to bring babies out of shock. She said she had rushed into her living room after hearing a thud and someone saying, "Oh, Star." Smith found Brockhill seated on the sofa holding the toddler, who was struggling to breathe. The mother told investigators that she had repeatedly said they needed to call for help, but first aid-trained Brockhill had said everything was fine, and Smith, under the coercive control of Brockhill, accepted what she said. Paramedics arrived at the flat 15 minutes after the call began. They were greeted by a calm, not panicking, Brockhill, who walked them up to the second-floor flat with no urgency. Medics immediately realized Star needed urgent help and moved her to the ambulance, where they worked on her for 20 minutes. The 16-month-old was taken to the hospital, but Star was effectively dead when she entered the emergency vehicle. After the ambulance left, Brockhill spent 7 minutes back inside the flat getting her keys before driving to the wrong hospital. When she arrived at Airedale, she sunk to her knees in theatrics before becoming angry and shouting. Following their brief interview with investigators, the women went to Brockhill's sister's house, where they were questioned again by police. Both were arrested a few days later. With charges of murder laid against the women, their relationship was in the spotlight. Frankie Smith was 17 when she fell pregnant with Star. Her family described her as the girl who never grew up and said she changed completely after meeting Brockhill. Smith had an IQ of just 70, which put her in the bottom 2% of the population, and still played with dolls at 16. In fact, according to the police psychiatrist, Smith was abnormally compliant and abnormally prone to going along with what an authority figure is telling her to do. Soon after Star was born, Smith and the baby's father, Jordan Hobson, broke up when he returned to university. After giving birth, the 17-year-old was initially a good mother but began neglecting Star, preferring instead to drink in the pubs of Bradford, often with her mother, Yvonne Spendley. On one of her nights out, she met Brockhill at a pub where she was working as a bouncer and, despite never having dated women before, fell for her confident personality and quickly became obsessed with her. Brockhill was also an amateur boxer and a self-proclaimed psycho. She regularly beat Smith, and when she continued to attract male attention, threatened to kneecap anyone who even looked at her. The jealous girlfriend also began physically abusing Star. During their relationship, Brockhill isolated Smith from her family and even made alarming Snapchat videos veiled with threats. Once, when Smith went out without her, she sent her more than 200 messages and calls, along with a video of Brockhill licking blood off a wall and threatening to stab someone tonight.
Guys and girls need to remember the fact that Frankie is with me. She keeps getting a lot of message requests and friends requests she's not going to accept, especially tramps like yous. And if you want to keep your kneecaps, I suggest you stop sending her them. She's with the #1 psycho.
Nevertheless, Smith became obsessed with her older lover. The The two would spend hours on the phone ignoring Starr's needs when she was not actually being brutalized. In an incident captured on CCTV and replayed to jurors, Brockhill arrived with Starr at the recycling plant where she then worked as a security guard. In the video, the woman is seen beating the child repeatedly. On one occasion, Smith was also abused and punched in the face, completely unprovoked, leaving her with a broken tooth. Other family members and Starr's babysitter, Holly Jones, had picked up on the physical and emotional abuse the child was suffering and attempted to raise the alarm with authorities. Social services received 5 reports between January and the child's murder in September, but none were acted upon. Jones said that since social workers gave the couple an hour's notice before they showed up, evidence was covered up. Additionally, Smith and Brockhill were able to persuade care workers that the bruising Starr had suffered had been accidental and that the complaints from family members were malicious. Eventually, Brockhill was found guilty of murdering 16-month-old Starr by inflicting catastrophic abdominal injuries through a punch, kick, or stamp when Smith had left the room to change her sanitary pad. She was jailed for life with a minimum term of 25 years. Smith was acquitted of murder but found guilty of causing or allowing her daughter's death. She was initially jailed for 8 years, but this was quashed at the Court of Appeal and extended to 12 years, which she must serve in a young offenders institution. Starr's great-grandfather, David Fawcett, regularly visits Smith. He said apparently Brockhill is walking around the prison she is in, walking about smirking, things like that. Fawcett told the media the family has struggled to come to terms with the horrific loss.
I just felt like, poor little Starr, she actually went to hell before she went to heaven.
Sadly, Frankie Smith's father, Andrew, could not overcome his granddaughter's death and took his life at 50 years old. Her mother has not been able to forgive her. A mural in memory of Starr was painted in Roberts Park, where the little girl often went to play. During a 911 call, a calm Camden County mother makes a shocking confession.
I knew it. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Keep thinking that. Keep thinking that. Keep thinking that.
No, what's emergency?
Yes, somebody just said my baby. Please get here.
They just did what?
Said my baby.
Do you know who it was, man?
Yes, it's my boyfriend, my current boyfriend.
What's your address?
You know what?
Does he need an ambulance, man?
You know what? I did it. I'm lying. I'm lying. I did it.
Does he need an ambulance, ma'am?
No. I mean, no. He don't need, no.
What's your name?
Chevonne Thomas. Chevonne Thomas. Chevonne.
What's your phone number, Chevonne?
You know what?
Hello?
You know what?
Chevonne.
You know what?
Chevonne.
Yes.
You said your baby was stabbed. This is your son?
Yes.
How old is he?
Yes.
Chevonne.
Yes.
How old is he?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Chevonne.
Yes.
How old is your son?
My son is 2. He is 2.
I said he's the one that was stabbed?
Yes.
He was stabbed with what?
A knife.
Is he bleeding? Where is he bleeding? Is he bleeding from anywhere?
No. I mean, he is, but not much.
From where?
Not much.
Where is he bleeding from?
Not much. Not bleeding much. Not bleeding much.
Where's your boyfriend at?
I think. I knew it.
Chevonne, where's he at?
My boyfriend says he's gonna come in the back door. He's gonna come in the back door.
So who did it to you? Your boyfriend stabbed him?
Yep. I knew it.
Who else was in the house?
No. Nope.
Who else was in the house?
Nobody. Nobody at all. Nobody. Nobody at
And the
all.
boyfriend is outside?
Yep. Yep.
You guys were fighting?
Yep. Yep.
happening, right?
Yep. Yep.
All right, we'll send somebody up.
Yep. You better wait. Wait. You know what? I don't even want to play this. I did it. Okay. I did it. I did it. I did it.
Stay on the phone, okay?
I keep trying to make it. I'm about to. I got to find some money. I got to.
Chevonne.
I got to try to find some money. I got to. I got to. I got to. I don't care. I have to try to find it. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna try to find it. I'm gonna try to find the money. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to. Fuck it. Do what you gotta do. 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 Do it. Do what you gotta do. Do it. Do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. I know. Yeah. Yes.
Hello, ma'am?
Nope. Nope.
Hello?
Nope. Nope.
Hello?
Nope. Nope. I knew it.
Chevonne,
It's right.
what's the problem?
I knew it.
You knew what?
I knew it.
Knew what?
I knew it.
What did you know,
I
Chevonne?
know.
You need the
I
police?
know. Nope. 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 Nope.
You need the police?
No. Mm-mm. I don't need nothing. I don't need nothing.
How old are you, Chevonne?
I don't need nothing. I'm 33.
You're 33?
33 years old.
Where do you live at?
1058.
Where?
1058.
1058 what?
10. 10.
1058 what?
Well,
Chevonne,
it's one.
who lives at?
Nobody. Not me.
Not
My
you.
boyfriend is right here. He's right. You know what?
Can I speak to him?
They swear. They swear it. Swear it.
Did you take medicine?
Swear it. I used to.
What kind did you take?
Prozac.
Prozac. Oh, okay. You don't take it anymore?
Nope.
Okay. What's your name?
Wait. I do.
You still take it?
I still take it.
Did you take it today?
I still take it. I still take it. No, I didn't. No, I didn't take it today, but I should have.
Okay.
Should have.
Where are you?
Should have took it today.
She didn't take her Prozac today, she's saying.
Whatever. I did.
Oh, that's what she did.
Keep playing.
Who's keep playing?
Keep playing.
Okay. Where are you at right now? Hello?
I don't hear one.
Chevonne,
Did she hang up? Hang up? I ain't hanging up.
who do you live with?
Whatever. Keep thinking that.
Keep thinking what, ma'am?
Keep thinking that.
Who do you live with?
Keep thinking it.
Who do you live with?
Keep thinking it.
Are you home by yourself?
Yep.
Does anyone live with you?
Keep thinking that.
Keep thinking what, ma'am?
Keep thinking it.
Chevonne.
In 2012, 34-year-old Chevonne Thomas called 911, claiming that her 2-year-old son, Zahree, had been violently stabbed by her ex-partner. However, a few seconds in, the mother admitted she was the one who did it. Police later found Thomas sitting on her porch, dead. She had slit her throat with the same knife she had used to decapitate her son. Police could not locate the boy's head immediately, as it had been hidden in a freezer. This happened shortly after the mother had regained custody of the child after he had been taken from her in 2010. She was found incoherent and disoriented by police in the streets of Camden, where she admitted smoking PCP, a drug known to cause violence and even suicide when consumed at high doses. Thomas had left her son in a vehicle and was arrested for endangering his welfare. The charges were later dropped because of contradictory statements given by witnesses. The case brought a lot of criticism towards the CPS, as people argued that the mother should never have regained custody of her child. However, the Department of Children and Families Commissioner, Allison Blake, released a statement declaring that they found no evidence of negligence. Additionally, the child protection workers had reportedly been consistent and thoughtful in their decision to grant the mother custody. Although CPS said the mother had been drug tested regularly, autopsy reports said she had PCP-laced marijuana in her system that day. Thomas's parents, who cared for Zahree when their daughter lost custody, argued that the 34-year-old had repeatedly asked for help to manage her addictions and wanted to better care for her child. She had recently moved into a new neighborhood, hoping for a new beginning. Neighbors described her as a pleasant and caring mother. The caller is a 14-year-old boy, Alex Crane, from Naples, Florida, who claims to have shot his parents but has no recollection of the events, saying he woke up with a gun in his hands.
What is the address of the emergency? 4240? Okay, 40. Is this a house or an apartment? What? Okay, what is your name? Alex. Alex, what's going on? My parents were shot. Your what? My parents were shot. Your parents were shot? Yeah. Stay on the line, okay? Alex, how old are you? I'm 14. 14, where are they now? They're in the bathroom. Okay, who shot your parents? I did. You did? Okay, stay on the line with me, okay? I'm going to get you some help. How did this happen, sweetie? I don't know. You don't know? First thing I was sleeping, the next thing I know, I had a gun in my hand. My parents were on the ground. Okay. Is there anyone else in the house with you, sweetie? Oh, Zahree. Huh? Zahree. Oh, no, okay. Are they breathing? I don't know. Can you go check for me? We're going to help you, okay, sweetie? We're going to help you. Where did you shoot your parents at? In the bathroom. Okay, well, when you shot your parents, where did you shoot it? Where did the gunshots land? What? You shot your parents, right? Where did you shoot them at? When you shot them, where did they hit them at? I hit my dad in the shoulder, and I don't know where I hit my mom. Okay, can you try to call your dad? Let me know if he's responding to you. What? Call your dad. Is he answering you? Dad. Anyway, Alex, where's the gun now? It's in the bathroom. Okay. What are you? I don't know why I did it. Okay. We're going to help you, Alex. What school do you go to? Oh, my God. Okay. Were you and your parents arguing? No. Okay. You said you were sleeping and you woke up with the gun in your hand? Huh? Yes. Okay. Now, Alex, mother answering you. What's your mother's name? It's what? Kelly. Okay. And what's your father's name? My father? Yeah. What is his name? Okay. So your dad's not answering you? Honey, we're on the way, okay? We're going to try to get you some help. Try to call out to your mom. See if she answers you. I don't know. You just told me to call 911. I told you to call 911. My mom. So your mom is breathing? She's answering you? I don't know. Listen, Alex. Mom! Answer me, Mom. Alex, are there any other weapons in the house? No. Okay. So it's just the one gun that's in the bathroom with your parents now? Yeah. Okay. So we're on the way, okay? Now, you don't have any other brothers and sisters in the house? Not in the house, no. Now, Alex, are you on any type of medication or anything? No. Okay. All right. Were you upset with your parents before this? No, I wasn't. I wasn't upset. Okay. Oh, this is all my fault. Listen, Alex, we're gonna get you some help, okay? What is your last name, honey? Gray. Alex Gray? Crane. Please spell it for me. Crain. Okay.
So your mom's not answering you now after she told you to call 911. Is that the last you talked to her? No. How long ago did this happen, sweetie?
What?
How long ago did this happen? You called us like maybe 2 or 3 minutes ago. How long ago before you called us did this happen?
Like 30 seconds.
30 seconds? Okay. Try to call your mom and see if she answers you. Can you try to shake them and see if they answer you?
I tried.
You tried? Okay. What are you wearing?
I'm wearing mesh shorts.
Mesh shorts? Okay. What else?
And a jacket.
A jacket? Okay. You're doing good. What else are you wearing? Do you wear glasses or what are you wearing? What else?
No, I'm not wearing glasses.
No glasses? Okay. Do you have any tattoos or piercings?
No.
No? Okay. Were you home sick from school or what are you... Did you miss the bus or what's going on?
No, I was sick.
You were sick? Okay.
Oh, what did I do?
Alex, can you put on a jacket? You do have on a jacket, right? I want you to go outside, okay? You don't have any weapons or anything on you now, right?
No.
No? Okay. Can you go outside and wait for us? I'm going to stay on the phone until we get there, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't mean for this to happen.
I understand, sweetie. I understand. I'm not sure what happened either, but we're going to try to figure out what happened, okay?
Now they're dead.
Stay on the line. We're going to help you, sweetie.
I love my parents.
I know you do. I know you do. Alice, are you white, black, or Hispanic?
White.
Okay. All right. Let me know when you see the deputy, okay? Stay on the line, sweetie. We're gonna help you, okay? Just hang. What grade are you in, sweetie?
9.
I'm here for you.
What if they don't make it?
Listen, Alex, it was an accident, okay? Let's try to stay positive. Okay? We have EMS, we have the deputies.
Why aren't they here?
Hang in there. I'm sure there's one in the area. They probably haven't made it in front of your house, okay?
I didn't mean it. I just woke up.
You just woke up, okay. Do you keep the gun usually in your room? Where's the gun usually?
No, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Just try to... How many times did the gun go off?
Twice?
Twice? Okay.
Yes.
Hang in there, Alex. Hang in. Let me see a car, okay? Let me know when you see a deputy car, okay? Okay. Are you see them?
No.
No? Okay. Is there... What kind of... You said it's...
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Is there a car in the driveway?
Yes.
Yeah, what kind of car's in the driveway?
A gray truck.
Okay, and what else?
There's a blue truck in the back. And there's a boat.
Okay.
There's a siren.
You hear the sirens? Okay.
During the 16-minute call to 911, Crane explained he had not been arguing with his parents and that he loved them. He was sleeping at one point, and the next thing he knew, there was a gun in his hand, and his parents were on the ground in his bathroom. Throughout his court case, the boy never provided any explanation for what happened. Video footage later released showed the teen at the back of a police cruiser wailing and apologizing for what he had done. In spite of his young age and his seemingly unstable mental condition, Crane was prosecuted as an adult and charged with 2 counts of manslaughter with a firearm. Although the adult filing went against the family's wishes, Crane's attorney said they were relieved murder charges were not filed, as they would carry a much harsher sentence. In September of that year, the teen's maternal grandmother, Nancy, who he calls Nana, said, This is what my daughter would have wanted me to do, even under these circumstances. I support my grandson. I'm concentrating on him, and when it's done and over with, I'll mourn for her. She felt this wasn't under her grandson's control and that he didn't set out to kill his parents. He was eventually sentenced to 20 years in prison after he pleaded no contest to the 2 charges. What do you think about this case? Did Alex Crane do it intentionally? Was he charged fairly? Comment down below. For more True 911 calls, watch this episode next.